If you grew up in the 80s, you didn't just live through a decade. You lived through a vibe. Saturday mornings meant cartoons and cereal. Afternoons were for riding bikes, playing games, and recording the perfect mixtape. And when MTV hit the screen, everything changed. It was color, sound, and cool all at once. So let's rewind time and relive the unforgettable magic of growing up in the 1980s. Number 1, Saturday morning cartoons. Saturday mornings in the 80s were sacred. You'd roll out of bed in your pajamas, grab a bowl of sugary cereal, maybe Fruit Loops or Cap'n Crunch, and park yourself in front of the TV like it was a holiday ritual. No streaming, no pause button, just one chance to catch your favorite shows live. From He-Man to the Smurfs, Transformers to Super Friends, it was a non-stop blast of color, action, and imagination. That NBC peacock would flash on screen and suddenly, the living room became your own little universe. Parents got to sleep in. We got magic, and if you missed an episode, that was it. You'd have to wait weeks for a rerun. But when you caught it live with your cereal in hand and your heart racing, that was childhood, pure and perfect.
I want my MTV.
Number 2, MTV. When MTV hit the airwaves in 1981, it didn't just change music, it changed how we experienced it. Suddenly, songs weren't just sounds on the radio. They were sights, moods, and moments you could watch. One minute it was Michael Jackson moonwalking across the screen. The next, Madonna was pushing every boundary imaginable. It felt electric, unpredictable. And if you were a kid or teen, MTV was everything. You'd sit for hours hoping your favorite video would come on, taping it if you were lucky. It wasn't just a TV channel. It was a window into style, attitude, and rebellion. Even the logo felt alive, changing colors and shapes between videos. For a generation, MTV wasn't background noise. It was the soundtrack and the pulse of growing up. Number 3, Michael Jackson and Madonna. In the 80s, two names stood above the rest: Michael Jackson and Madonna. They weren't just pop stars, they were cultural earthquakes. When Michael hit the stage with the moonwalk, it felt like the planet tilted. Billie Jean, Thriller, Beat It. Each song was an event. And Madonna? She kept us guessing with every look, every lyric. She was bold, strange, fearless, everything the 80s celebrated. Kids copied their dance moves, styled their hair, begged for jackets with zippers or lace gloves. They were more than music. They were style, rebellion, and attitude rolled into one. You didn't just listen to them, you lived through them. And even now, decades later, their impact is still everywhere. From Halloween costumes, to playlists, to the way we think about fame.
Really feel the music with the Sony Walkman.
The Sony Walkman.
Number 4, Walkman. Before smartphones and Bluetooth earbuds, there was the Walkman, and it felt like magic in your pocket. You'd pop in a cassette, slide on those soft foam headphones, and suddenly the world faded away. Whether you were riding your bike, mowing the lawn, or just hiding from your siblings, the Walkman gave you privacy, mood, and freedom all at once. It wasn't about playlists or algorithms. It was your tape, your order, your sound. The gentle click when you hit play, the soft hiss of the tape spinning, it all became part of the music. And when the battery started to die and your favorite song slowed down mid-chorus, you'd scramble to swap in fresh AA batteries, because in the 80s, your music didn't just play, it moved with you. Number 5, mixtapes. Making a mixtape in the 80s was an act of love and patience. You'd sit by the radio for hours, finger on the record button, waiting for that song to play. And when the DJ talked over the intro, ruined. Try again. Each tape told a story. A crush, a summer, a heartbreak, a road trip. You picked the songs, the order, even the handwritten label on the cassette. It wasn't just music, it was a piece of you, captured in plastic and tape. And if someone made one for you, that meant something. Mixtapes were messy, imperfect, and completely personal. In a world before playlists, they were our soundtrack, crafted by hand, played with care, and remembered for life. Number 6, board games. Back in the 80s, board games were at the heart of family time. On Friday nights or lazy Sunday afternoons, you'd clear the dining table and open up a box of Monopoly, Scrabble, Uno, or Clue. If you had younger siblings, Candyland or Chutes and Ladders kept them busy. Want chaos? Break out Twister or Mousetrap? These games weren't about graphics or batteries. They were about eye contact, competition, and laughter. Someone always flipped the board during Risk. Someone always cheated at Uno, but that was part of the charm. These weren't just games, they were rituals. Sitting cross-legged on the carpet, shouting rules, sharing snacks. It felt like home. And long before Wi-Fi, this was how we connected. Number 7, playing outdoors. In the 80s, go play outside was more than a suggestion. It was our way of life. You jump on your banana seat bike, no helmet, no plan, just freedom. Neighborhood kids gathered for endless games of tag, hide and seek, Red Rover, or kickball in the cul-de-sac. Driveways turned into chalk arenas, tree houses became fortresses, water balloons flew in summer, and in fall we dove into leaf piles like they were treasure. No phones, no Wi-Fi, just streetlights as curfews and scraped knees as souvenirs. You knew where everyone was by the sound of laughter, or the occasional argument over rules. We weren't glued to screens. We were out in the world, sweating, running, living every second like it mattered. And honestly, it did. Number 8, Nintendo Entertainment System, NES. When the NES landed in the mid-80s, it felt like the future had arrived in your living room. Suddenly, the TV wasn't just for watching, it was for playing. Super Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, The Legend of Zelda. These weren't just games, they were worlds we got to explore. You'd blow into the cartridge, even if it didn't help. Plug in the controller and lose hours jumping over pits or saving princesses. Friends came over. Timers were set. Arguments broke out over who got the next turn. The graphics were simple, but the magic was real. And when that 8-bit music kicked in, you were transported. For many of us, the NES wasn't just a console. It was the first time a screen truly felt alive. Number 9, Pac-Man. Long before open-world games and 3D graphics, there was Pac-Man, a yellow circle with a mouth, chomping dots in a neon maze. And somehow it was absolutely thrilling. You'd hear that iconic Waka Waka sound the moment you stepped into the arcade. Simple rules: eat everything, avoid ghosts, survive. But the rush of clearing a level? Pure adrenaline. Kids, teens, even grown-ups lined up for their turn, quarters stacked on the machine like a waiting list. Pac-Man lunchboxes, t-shirts, cartoons, it was everywhere. You didn't just play it, you lived in it. And when you finally hit a new high score, those blinking numbers felt like a personal trophy. In the 80s, Pac-Man wasn't just a game, it was a full-blown phenomenon. Number 10, Atari 2600. Before the NES took over, there was the Atari 2600, the console that started it all. It didn't look like much, wood paneling, joystick with a single red button. But the moment you powered it on, your TV transformed. Games like Space Invaders, Asteroids, and Pitfall turned your living room into a pixelated adventure zone. The graphics were basic, sure, but to us, they were magic. You'd spend hours chasing high scores, dodging enemy ships, or jumping over crocodiles. Cartridges were stacked next to the TV like gold, and the sound effects, beeps and bloops that somehow burned into memory. The Atari 2600 wasn't just a machine, it was our first real taste of home gaming, and once you played, you were hooked for life. Number 11, Cabbage Patch Kids. In the 80s, no toy caused more chaos or more joy than the Cabbage Patch Kids. These round-faced dolls with soft bodies and unique adoption papers became an instant obsession. Each one had a name, a birthday, and a story, making them feel more like real babies than toys. Parents lined up for hours, Fights broke out in stores. And when you finally got one, it felt like winning the lottery. Kids dressed them up, took them everywhere, even gave them their own beds. That vinyl baby smell, the yarn hair, the little dimpled cheeks, it all stuck with you. Cabbage Patch Kids weren't just popular. They were a full-blown cultural event. And if you had one, you didn't just own a doll, you had a best friend. Number 12, Simon. With its blinking lights and pulsing tones, Simon was the memory game that dared you to keep up. 4 buttons, red, blue, yellow, green, each lit up with a sound, creating patterns that grew longer and faster. At first it felt easy, but after a few rounds, total brain meltdown. You'd sit cross-legged on the carpet, palms sweating, trying to remember the sequence. Mess up once and it was game over, with that unforgiving buzz. Kids turned it into a competition. Parents gave it a try and got hooked too. It wasn't flashy or high-tech, but it demanded focus, patience, and nerve. In the 80s, Simon was more than a toy. It was a badge of honor. And beating your own high score? Pure victory. Number 13, Smurfs. Tiny, blue, and living in mushroom houses, the Smurfs were everywhere in the 80s. Whether it was the Saturday morning cartoon, plush toys, lunchboxes, or pajamas, you couldn't escape them. And honestly, we didn't want to. Led by the wise Papa Smurf, each character had a name that matched their whole personality. Brainy, jokey, Smurfette, and more. Every episode was a new adventure, usually involving outsmarting the evil Gargamel and his cat, Azrael. The stories were simple, but they sparked big imagination. And that theme song, once it got in your head, it stayed there for life. For kids of the 80s, the Smurfs weren't just a cartoon. They were a whole world we escaped into, where friendship and fun always won in the end. Number 14, boombox. In the 80s, if you wanted your music loud and proud, you needed a boombox. Big, bold, and packed with speakers, it was more than a stereo, it was a statement. You'd sling it over your shoulder, cassette blasting, and instantly turn a sidewalk into your personal stage. Whether it was Run DMC, Prince, or The Clash, the boombox made sure everyone around you knew what you were into. Some had double tape decks, EQ sliders, even built-in radios with giant antennas. You could record songs off the air or swap tapes with friends right on the spot. It wasn't portable like today's devices, but it was powerful. And in its own noisy, rebellious way, the boombox defined what it meant to carry your sound with style. Number 15, Hungry Hungry Hippos. Few games captured pure chaos like Hungry Hungry Hippos. 4 hippos, a bunch of marbles. One goal, chomp like crazy. The second someone yelled, "Go!" it turned into a flurry of fists slamming plastic paddles. It was noisy, frantic, and wildly fun. You didn't need strategy, just fast hands and a little luck. Every kid had their favorite hippo, Henry, Homer, Harry, or Happy. And whether you won or lost, the game usually ended in laughter and a pile of scattered marbles under the table. It wasn't high-tech, it wasn't quiet, and that was exactly the point. In a world full of rules, Hungry Hungry Hippos let you go full tilt, and in the 80s, that kind of joy was everything. We didn't need much in the 80s, just a boombox, a good game, and a little imagination. But the memories, they've lasted a lifetime. What do you remember most? Share your favorite 80s moment in the comments. And if you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around. There's plenty more nostalgia coming your way.